When we left here yesterday, thought would come on the air today and celebrate a major big-time football game having played out in front of the whole country on Monday Night Football, and a huge part of the season between two incredibly talented quarterbacks and two incredibly talented teams fighting for the same thing, which is the top spot in the National Football League's American Football Conference in a season that has just been remarkable in so many different ways. And of course, the real world came crashing in a way that I still can't grasp and fathom. We shouldn't be sitting here in our sports world, in our football-loving world, coming on the air and talking about a 24-year-old in critical condition in a Cincinnati hospital because he took what appeared to be a blow to the chest that millions upon millions upon millions of times players get up from. And Damar Hamlin actually did get up from this one and then fell down and collapsed. And when that happened, and when I saw that last night, I immediately thought to myself, well, that's weird. I didn't think, well, that's possibly fatal. And I don't think anybody else in the field did until you saw members of the Bengals staff out there motioning towards the sideline, and the Bills staff obviously out there motioning towards the sideline. And what unfolded on the field in Cincinnati is the nightmare of anybody who loves football, who watches football, anybody who talks about it for a living, anybody who, yes, is in the business of football, anybody who adores this game that we always talk about, made in America, played in America, now internationally. The nightmare is that somebody's going to die on the field because it is a violent game. And we put those thoughts as fans in the very back recesses of our minds and our hearts and minds watching this game, where we do sometimes enjoy it for the hard hits, where the hard hits are celebrated. And sometimes we criticize the rules that are put in place to protect the players because they're imperfect. And we don't think about this stuff while we're watching the game. And last night, a mirror was held up to all of us with this ugly, terrible, frightening, scary moment that a 24-year-old Damar Hamlin was on the ground and needed CPR and needed to have his heart apparently shocked back into rhythm. And thank God there were medical professionals and the equipment on hand to save this man's life, because that appears to be what was the case, or at least for the moment, because we still don't know what's happening with Damar Hamlin in a Cincinnati hospital. We're used to having guys carted off, guys even taken off the field in an ambulance, but we always see the thumbs up, or we're hoping to see the thumbs up. And if we don't see the thumbs up, what is it, usually a half hour later, we get the report from a sideline that everything's okay. We still haven't gotten that report. And it's well over 12 hours later. And I don't know how to quite take it all in and grasp it, to be very honest with you. It's downright frightening and jarring. And all I think of right now, as I've just started the show telling you how I feel, and how I think NFL fans and football fans writ large feel. I cannot imagine what the mom of Damar Hamlin is feeling right now, because she was there last night. And the ambulance getting ready to take her son to the hospital apparently waited to make sure she was in there with him. And I send nothing but my love and prayers from all of us here at this show and my family to them, to her and her entire family. I'm also thinking of T. Higgins tonight and today. And he's the wide receiver who made contact with Hamlin, who was trying to be tackled by Hamlin. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. And that's the ultimate reminder as well, as we send our prayers up for Damar and to his family and in his direction of his hospital room right now, that this is a fresh reminder. These are human beings playing this game. Not guys who are trying to win a fantasy championship for us or a world championship for us or for them. Human beings. We sometimes do lose sight of that as we scream about a fumble or an interception, or it really is just a jarring mirror image held up to us to just remind us just how violent this game can be. And that's when I realized last night that this was out of the ordinary. When I saw the players in tears taking knees, and first time I saw Joe Burrow actually flappable on a field, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. And seeing Josh Allen put his hands over his mouth, and the entire Bills team taking a knee. Both teams surrounding Hamlin. I honestly don't know what to make of it.
And I think that's okay, Rich. I mean, last night was unprecedented. We've never seen anything like it. You know, it's not the type of hit that you think would cause something like this. You think, you know, we've been bracing ourselves for something like this maybe for a long time, and it's never happened, thankfully. And it's just a routine hit. He just made a tackle, and he gets up, and then like you said, whoa, what was that?
In terms of never seeing it before, you know, the name of Chuck Hughes, I think, got Googled quite a bit last night by a bunch of people. In 1971, he was a 28-year-old wide receiver who dropped dead on the field in old Tiger Stadium when it was the Bears and the Lions playing each other late in the game, right in front of Dick Butkus. Chuck Hughes just hit the ground, convulsed, was taken off in an ambulance. They finished the game that day. And he passed away in the hospital. But that's where he was at least officially pronounced as if it passed away. And thank goodness last night. That's the only time that's happened. But that wasn't in the 21st century where the whole country was watching a hyped up game when the NFL is at the zenith of its popularity. There is no precedence for what we saw last night. I mean, I know a lot of folks are talking about college basketball as well and seeing players who have had cardiac arrests on basketball courts. Hank Gathers is one that leaps to mind.
Reggie Lewis happened with the Celtics 30 years ago.
And so we're talking about that, but thank goodness this young man is still alive right now, and it's to the testament of the first responders and the equipment that was actually available to them to administer life-saving, on the field first aid. And we hope his heartbeat or oxygen levels was restored fast enough that we will get a report today that we've all been waiting for all this time, hoping to hear. And it's unfortunately, again, another reminder, wildly enough, on the same field, right around the same spot where Tua hit the turf earlier this year, and his hands spasming in front of another nationally televised audience that was a Thursday night in Cincinnati. Second reminder for all of us, just what we're watching, just kind of what we're putting away, and what these human beings who play the game absolutely shelf to play this game. And that when they see this happen to their comrade, when they see this in person, any medical professional will tell you, and I was texting with a handful of them last night, CPR, when it's administered, and also when a heart is being shocked back into rhythm using electric pulses, it's way worse than what you see in the movies and on television. And these players saw it. And I don't blame them one bit for not wanting to play another second. And we will figure out the rest of it at the appropriate time. And I don't know when there is an appropriate time while this young man is still hanging on for dear life. I just don't know. Nobody does. And we're all just hoping to work through it together. So I send nothing but prayers and love and affection and celebrating the humanity of Damar Hamlin and seeing the reaction of the NFL fan base, the Bengals fan base, the Bills fan base, obviously. The charity that Damar Hamlin has been running since 2020 in support of his mother's daycare center in his hometown of McKees Rocks, Pennsylvania, had $10,000 in its GoFundMe bank prior to kickoff last night. It's nearing $4 million as we're currently on the air right now. His goal was $2,500.
Yeah, it just went over 4 million. Including recent donations people are pointing out from Andy Dalton, who
He's as good as people.
Bills fans donated to his charity because, remember, the Bengals knocked out the Ravens and the Bills made the playoffs a few years ago.
Well, I look forward to the day that Damar Hamlin gets to walk into that daycare center and see all the new toys, literally and figuratively, and he gets to see it himself. And hope that he emerges from that hospital bed very soon.